Welcome, my beautiful ladies. How are y'all today?
So good and so excited to be here.
Yay, yay, and
Same.
yay. All right, today I'm doing a first. I'm interviewing two beautiful ladies, and they're on a wonderful podcast called, what is it called again? I've just blanked out. I'm so sorry.
Oh, no worries. Thriving Family Podcast.
Thriving Family. I was about to say Thriving Mom, but that's
That's the same thing.
basically the same
Same
thing.
thing.
Yeah. So I'm here with Barbara and Teresa, and they are gorgeous and they're amazing. And this is not their only job. So we can even talk about that in a minute. But I want to talk to you first because it's how I start all my podcasts out. What is your favorite thing that you cannot live without right now? And let's start with Teresa, please.
Oh my gosh, I don't even know. There are so many things I feel like, but I really feel like I can't live without travel and exploring. Fun new adventures are everything, and even repeating fun adventures, I'm okay with that. But just getting out there and exploring and trying new things and all the things, I love it.
I
Can't get
love it. Adventure. Oh, so good. Okay. And Barbara, what is your favorite thing you cannot live without today?
I cannot live without, and it's been this way for a very long time in my life, is music. Like it is an instant mood changer for me. I can be in the car and one of my kids can be making me cranky and I just turn on 80s is my like soul happy, like any 80s music.
Yeah.
And then but we like a lot of different things. And also with my husband, it's kind of our from the get-go when we started dating, it's our commonality and we love going to live music. And so yeah, and I'll just have my favorite album. U2 Joshua Tree is like my childhood anthem, and then 80s music. It's like, yeah,
Totally.
yeah.
Look, I'm the same way. And when I met my husband, we went on a blind date, and we met on a blind date. And I was like, ugh, I didn't want to go on a blind date. I just wanted to meet with this friend of mine who was in town. She's like, let's go on this blind date with this other couple. I mean, this other guy. You're gonna love him. He's so cute. I'm like, whatever. So we show up, and he drove me. We met at a baseball game, and I was like, oh my God, he's so hot. I didn't know he was going to be so cute. I didn't have any makeup on, like I was totally unprepared, which isn't that always the way. That's when everything happens, the magic. So we get in the car to drive from the baseball game to a bar or whatever. And he put in Snoop Dogg. I think it was Gin and Juice. Is that Snoop Dogg? Yes.
Yeah.
He knew every single word. And I looked at him and I was like, I'm going to marry this guy. I'm going to totally marry this guy. Like, he is my kind of guy. And he knew, I was just blown away. He knew every Tupac. He knew Biggie Small, everything. My nickname for him is Big Papa. Everybody calls him Big Papa because he's a tall guy, but he also loves Biggie Smalls. Anyway, that's my
I love it. It's like the Jerry Maguire, you had me at hello. You're like, you had me at Tupac.
You had me at Tupac. You had me at 80s hip hop. That's
yeah,
it.
done.
End of story. And now we listen to it all the time. We just did a cold plunge to, what were we just listening to? It was something nasty and awesome. It was great.
Do you have one in your yard?
Well, I have a big pool that's not heated.
Oh, that'll do it.
Yeah. So today it dropped down to like in the 30s this morning, which is so unlike Dallas temperature. And we were so excited. And I'm a junkie. Like I've been doing cold showers for years, but the cold plunge I can only do when it's cold outside, because anyway, we even want to build a cold plunge in our backyard, maybe because we're so obsessed with it. And wow. I'm telling y'all, it helps everything. It helps your back. It helps every muscle that hurts, every ache and pain. I mean, it is the best. It is. And it supposedly makes you lose weight too.
I want to try it. I really want to try it. I love cold showers. I love cold showers. They're so good.
Yeah. And you just put one song in.
Oh, one song. Just like that. I was going to ask you time. Yeah. 1
3-minute song. Today I did 2 because my back was a little inky. So I just was like, okay, let me put in another song. And I just sit in there and freeze and kind of jog in place. And then I get out and I'm like, okay, I've challenged myself to the hardest thing I'm probably going to do today. The rest of the day is going to be gravy,
I love that.
Yeah. So everybody try it. Anyway. Yeah. All right. So let's talk about your podcast because that is so exciting. I want to talk about how you met and then what made you decide to come up with this idea and who are you trying to focus on? Because my audience is mostly moms. And so they're going to love your message. And so just kind of fill me in on how you met and what your podcast is all about, please.
Teresa, do you want to say how we met?
Yeah, so Barbara and I met in a mastermind, and we realized almost immediately how much we just had in common in terms of just our synergies and our energy and what we were so interested in offering to the world, really. And
Mhm.
for me, it's always been about helping women thrive, helping families thrive. I've had a website called parent.net for a long time that I've slowly been building. There's a lot of blog posts, and that's been fun, but I always knew there was something more. I had no idea what that was. And so I met Barbara, and she was like, this is what I want to support, and this is what I'm interested in. And I was like, it's the same. We sort of have this skill of taking all this information and synthesizing it down and making it bite-sized pieces and easy for people to incorporate it into their day-to-day lives. So our podcast is very much about a supportive space for parents where we're focused on filling your own cup first. You always have to put on your own oxygen mask because, let's be honest, who can you help or support at all if you're not doing that for yourself first, right? So we just had, I think, so many things in common, and we're also so different at the same time. So it's been so much fun just getting to know Barbara and starting this podcast. And yeah.
I love it. I love it.
Yeah,
And
I'll just add that it's so great when you can start something and you're just truly coming from that love and joy space where you are your own audience. It's kind of something we need as parents,
Mhm.
and just not feeling alone. And how many conversations we both had with moms where you're just not having that great day, or you feel like the smile is just hurting because you're just like masking what's really going on.
Mhm.
And I think the conversations I've had either with friends or even like people I don't know that well that might be on the same sports team, and you just kind of let them in a little bit of like, hey, I'm not doing great, or this is really shitty right now, and they're like, oh my God, thank you. And so it's just, I want to have more of those conversations. And we joke that it's the non-social media conversations, that it's the real stuff that's going on in parenting, that the crappy, hard, messy stuff that we all go through, but no one talks about. And so, and we've just been really lucky that we have so many amazing people like yourself that we've been introduced to, that we're just like, hey, more people need to hear what you have to say, because everybody has those amazing nuggets that is like, I liken it to those recipes that you're like, oh my God, everyone's gonna love this one. This is like that one that you just share with everyone. And so it's just all these awesome nuggets that we just want to spread. And it's just been so much fun.
Oh, I love it. And I love that you have such a great, you're very much the yin and the yang. And I love the personality differences in both of you. I mean, Teresa, you're just so calming and soothing. And then Barbara, you are like a firecracker, and it just works so great together. And I love the dynamic. I love the interviews you've done. I mean, I just think it's brilliant. And isn't it so amazing, like when you meet someone and you just drop this shit, you drop the facade and you're like, okay, you know what? We're just all trying to do the best we can here. No, this is not a competition. And let's just talk about stuff that's really difficult. And
Yeah.
I think that that's becoming more and more normal, which I love. I mean, have y'all found that in your podcast and your interviewing and, that kind of stuff?
Yeah, I think it's a lot of things. I think it's age, where your time is so precious, where I'm wanting those relationships and even those conversations that aren't bullshit, that it's like the real stuff. you also get to know someone better when the wall's down. And I mean, I have lots of wonderful women that are like, it's great. And I'm like, okay, maybe in a couple of years we'll be closer. But
Yeah.
like, I can't do it's great, because I'm like, let me in, let me
Yeah.
in. And until they're ready, it's fine. But I just have always been open. And I mean, I've even had moms come up to me and be like, oh, I saw you guys. Oh, you look so perfect. And I'm like, oh no.
Woo.
Oh, we do not put me there. We are a shit show. I don't know. You must have caught us in the one moment that looked good, because we are not. We're like,
Yeah.
so I think we do that so much as women because we're just trying to be like, oh, see, they have it together. So
Uh-huh.
we just innately feel bad about ourselves. And also I think, our break in time from social activities during this pandemic is kind of that. I think people, like you said, is just more craving real. And that's where we grow. That's where we have the true deep relationships. And it's nice to be there. I'm like, yeah, I like it here. Much better.
Mhm. Me too.
Yeah, and I feel like it's the support as well, not only that we offer to each other, Barbara, but to everyone in our community, this community that we're building. We're having so much fun. The feedback we've received has been so lovely, and it just kind of keeps you going and it keeps you energized. And we are not the Pinterest perfect, picture perfect moms. That is so not us. And I feel like once you embrace that and you're like, perfection is not even a thing. Stop
Mm-mm.
wasting your time with it. And as someone who's a natural people pleaser, perfectionist, I mean, part of what I do for a living is like, better get it right or else it's a problem.
Yeah.
But man, to embrace the real, like life, day to day, this is just shit that's happening and we're going to roll with it. And to have the support network around you to be able to be that vulnerable is so liberating. It's so nice.
It is. And I found like when I started doing all this work, probably 4 years ago, I guess, I found so much comfort in podcasts because I felt like I have wonderful friends in real life and they're beautiful and great and amazing. But a lot of the times there's a lot of the comparison game and oh, she's doing this so perfectly and she's doing this so great and look where they got to go. And it's just like always this like yucky feeling like, why am I not doing it right? Why do they make it look so easy? And I'm a hot mess over here, and everybody doesn't even have their teeth brushed today. And I don't even know where my bra is. And, it's like, what it, everybody feels like that at some point. And so it's refreshing when you get into podcasts and you start listening to people who are being real and being
Mhm.
authentic. It does. I mean, we don't all have to look. I live in the deep South. That's like where you go and you put on eyeliner to go to the grocery store. Like it's a whole different level of perfection down here. And I think it's so refreshing to just open up your aperture and meet people from all over the world just through listening to a podcast. And you can
Yeah.
just get these little nuggets of wisdom that help you make you feel not so alone. And I love that.
Yeah, and it's so funny too because we actually have recently started sharing some of the bloopers
Oh,
just
I
in
saw
our reels
that.
and
That was
stuff on
so great.
Instagram. And it's like Barbara's like, "Oh my gosh, my dog is barking. That wasn't me that made that weird sound." And like, so we've been sort of, cutting those out so that we can share them because some of this, that's the best stuff, right?
Yeah.
The best stuff is where it's totally messy, it's not scripted,
Yeah.
and it's just like, oops, that just happened. And that's life. That's life. And especially it's life as a parent. Like it just is.
Totally. And I feel like my entire podcast is a blooper because I never edit anything.
But people
I,
love that.
I just let
And
it.
you just are so engaging and so like it's so nice. I think we were saying this earlier of the podcast where it's so intimate and you just feel like you're hanging out with a friend and you
Yeah.
just feel like that space is being held for you where you're just like, hey, like, and you get to pick your topic, get to pick your amount of time.
Yeah.
And it's just so nice.
And you just
I love your
talk
podcast.
like you're having coffee. That's what I just wanted it to be
Yeah.
like. And y'all are the same way. And if you get a little wisdom out of it, and if you don't like everything I have to say, we'll just flush that down the toilet and keep moving on. But it's just this I don't know, it's just an intimate, wonderful way to connect to people that doesn't have to be next door or even in your city that you live in. You know, you can just do it. And it's just, I love that. And I love that COVID kind of made us have to do stuff like that.
Mhm. Yeah.
Which, you know, that's a whole nother thing, but
I know. I mean, you have Dallas, I'm in Oregon, and then Teresa's in Canada. It's just awesome
yeah,
we are able to get such reach and be able to be with such awesome people no matter where they are. I love that part.
I know. I mean, and y'all have never even met in real life, which blows my mind. That is so cool. Right?
I know. So today, right?
Oh, but it's awesome. It's lovely because it means, I mean, Teresa and I have become friends through our little group. And then now Barbara, I mean, it's just so great that you can just expand your friendships. It doesn't have to be, you don't have to be so alone, because I know COVID made everyone feel really alone. And
Mhm.
even just the way we are in the year 2022, you don't even have to leave your house. I mean, you can order groceries online. You never have to leave, right? So
Yeah.
it's nice to know that you can make these connections, you know, and they don't have to be in real life even, but they're very personal and wonderful.
Yeah.
So
And
and
yeah.
deep. Yeah, exactly. Because I don't even like to do, like, we went to a party the other night somewhere where I didn't know anybody, and oh, so much small talk. And I was like, "Ugh,
I
if one more
can't.
person asks me how many kids I have, I'm gonna
Oh my gosh.
shoot somebody."
I totally agree. And it's funny because they say if you're introverted or you're extroverted, how you walk away with energy, like afterwards with a big group. And I consider myself an extrovert, but I think my bandwidth for that now with the small talk, I'm just like, I'll probably freak someone out because I'm ready to have the airplane conversation. Like, hi, how are you? So what do you think about the afterlife? Like,
Yeah.
it's just,
Do you believe in God?
yeah, deep with God. What's your take on? Yeah,
Yeah.
but I can't do it. It's exhausting. It is so exhausting.
It really does drain you bad. And I consider myself to be an extroverted introvert. Like, I can talk to that wall all day, but
Mhm.
I get my energy from being alone, which is why podcasts work really well for me, because I basically talk to that wall by myself
Yeah,
and I get all this energy out. It's great. But
that's
I love that. It's really great. It's so nice to be around people who just want to go deep and don't really want to talk about all the bullshit, which I just,
yeah,
it's
I
great.
know.
Yeah.
And one thing you were talking about, especially living in Texas or Dallas, in those areas, and I just moved from LA. We were there for 22 years, which is just shocking. And we had such a great time. I know, but it's those different areas. And I think everyone has it. I mean, you could be in like a smaller city, but, just find your pockets. But I think it is so hard when you're more challenging when you're in those areas where it's more comparison and you can so easily just start to feel yucky, and it's your
Mhm.
own personal thing. I mean, the women could be absolutely nice and they're doing their thing, but I think what's really helped, and I learned this from this awesome parent education class I was in, and Tracy and I have talked about it, is really owning the type of mom or even like woman that you are. Like when you said the teeth probably weren't brushed and all this stuff, I'm like, oh my God, that's totally me. Like my kids will look like they haven't slept or eaten and showered in days.
Yeah.
But did we have fun playing in the backyard? Like,
Yeah.
yes, we did. So
Yes.
you just own who you are. And I think if we hold on to that, because we aren't everything and they're not going to be, I mean, all, and there's some moms that are like the perfect Pinterest moms and that's their jam. And their
Mhm.
kids are matching and have awesome bows, but they're not playing in the yard. It's like, you do you. Like, I think
Yeah.
it all came about because of the Instagram, like I joke, because some people don't know what a tablescape is, but during the holidays
Yeah.
or Thanksgiving when it's like this beautifully put out table.
Oh yeah.
I love a good table. Like, love it, love it, love it.
As long
But
as I don't have to do it.
exactly. But then I started beating myself up like, oh my gosh, my table isn't pretty. I didn't have the hot cocoa bar for my kids.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh, Christmas is going to be a disaster. And then I started going, but we do this and we do this and I do this. And so you just have to really own what your power is as a mom and what your kids are getting from you. And I also honor what my friends give. And then I'm like, oh, they can learn that from them, and then it makes me not beat myself up as much and also not get jealous. I actually am like, praising my friends for the areas that they're better in than I am. I'm like, I love that you do that. Like either help me learn it better, help me do a better tablescape or hot cocoa bar, or like, can I come to your house and my kids actually like get this part? Cause I'm not, it's really helped a lot for my own like sanity and
Yeah,
No.
no, I agree. And just not just embracing who you are, but embracing everyone else for their strengths and weaknesses and not having any judgment or competition or jealousy. That is such a thing. Like
Mhm.
it needs to stop, right? We just need
Wow.
to be supportive of each other. I don't know. I'm such a girl's girl at heart. I always have been. And I found it sometimes a bit of a struggle in the corporate world because I'm like, why was she so mean? Like I don't like sometimes that happens. And as women, we can be harder on ourselves than, the work environment or whatever the environment is that we're actually in. And it's like, we're all our own worst enemies anyway.
Yeah.
So the least we could do is just support each other and hold each other's hands and just be like, let's get through this with as much grace as possible. And giving ourselves and each other grace is so huge. So huge.
I agree. And I think it's like, oh, do we judge the books by the cover? I mean, the minute we walk into a playground or, you're immediately scanning like, okay, that girl looks like I might could talk to her. And look, those kids are about the same age. Like you immediately start with the judgment because that's just being a human being. But I think it's just so important for us to drop that. And I mean, obviously you're going to do it to a little bit of an extent, but just start looking at, like you said, what other people do well that I don't do well. Like I get anxiety around every single holiday because my mom was a stay-at-home mom and she was amazing, is amazing, and cooked everything from scratch and had the tablescape and had the beautiful dining room table and all the decorations. And I like right now I have 3 white pumpkins on my fireplace and that's it. And my daughter just came home from college. She's like, "Where are all the decorations? What is happening?" And I was like, "I don't know. I just didn't get." And I feel that like that icky feeling like, "Oh, I should have done it. Why didn't I do it?" And then I'm like, "You know what? The days pass whether you have spider webs everywhere and like, the crazy jack-o'-lantern talking to people as they walk down the street. It doesn't matter. I don't have to have that. I could just have my 3 little white pumpkins and it makes me so happy. And that's all you need. It's
Totally.
all good.
Totally. Totally.
Yeah.
And you do other things and you can, you are such an awesome mom. And it's,
Well, we all are. We all
yeah.
are. But we beat ourselves up because we compare ourselves to the next door neighbor's gorgeous yard or, my friend who does the beautiful hot cocoa bar, like you just said. I mean, but it's so great if we could just learn how to appreciate that and be grateful for that in our lives and then realize we don't have to do all that. Like it's okay if your house doesn't look like her house or whatever. Or I used to beat myself up about nursing, and I know that y'all do um, a sleep program, don't you? Or is that Teresa's?
Oh, yes. So there's actually two parts to that.
Okay.
We're rolling out soon a new podcast because we focus on Thriving Family podcast. It's more of a focus of the fill your cup and making sure we're taking care of ourselves first as parents. And of course, that's for first and foremost. But it's also the conversations with our older kids that we're having. So all of those tough topics that a lot of people aren't talking about, that's what we focused on. But there's this whole other season of your life, which is the conception, pregnancy, childbirth, postpartum period, and then of course into, having your baby and surviving that first year, hopefully thriving at some point, right? Like when is that going to happen, right?
Yeah.
But also just the 0 to 6, because even in the 0 to 6, it's like, preschooler, there's all these kindergartner, there's all these different toddler phases that you're going through. So we decided to roll out a new podcast, Baby Bumps to Littles. And so we're super excited about that because we really want a supportive space for that season of everyone's lives as well, because it's such a big deal.
Yeah.
And that actually relates back to, as you mentioned, something that I've been very passionate about. For me, I went back to work as a new mom really, well, kind of like how you do in the US. In Canada, we have longer maternity leaves typically, but I knew that I was going to go back to work. I had a layoff situation while I was pregnant with my first baby. So I had all this time in my hands, and it was actually during one of the other pandemics from the past. And
Mhm.
so you actually weren't going out and doing very many things. And as a pregnant person, you're like, a little bit cautious of that, right? So essentially, I did a whole bunch of reading, the nerd that I am, and I was like, there's got to be some sort of cool skills to help you through this first year and
Yeah.
to get sleep with the baby. Because how am I going to work a 14-hour workday and express milk and do all the things? It's like you can't do that without sleep, right? Like you cannot function without sleep. We don't even need to have a conversation about it. It's so obvious now. There are so many studies on sleep, right, and how it impacts us. So um, I worked with Dr. Pam, who we work with a lot. We've had her on the podcast many times, and we came up with a feeding and sleep program. We call it Calm Baby Sleep, and it's now a course, and it's only a couple of hours of time. But what it offers is a full night of sleep with your baby, gently transitioning them to sleep without worrying about tears at the 3 month mark, so 12 weeks, which is pretty
Oh,
much the time where it's safe because
yeah.
babies obviously need to eat quite frequently up until that point. So that's why there's a
Yeah.
little bit of a sleep deprivation window. But I was like,
Mhm.
how can I make that the tightest possible window ever?
Yeah.
Right? Because I love my sleep. I always have.
Oh, me
And so selfishly, um, it was a big deal for me to do that. And it just evolved. People started asking me for it. It was nothing originally. It was just sort of here's the schedule and here's how it works. And
Mhm.
that was that. And so after sharing it, eventually I was just doing it for free for so long, just like supporting people that were asking about it because they're like, why are your kids sleeping? I'm like, well, they just always have, right?
Yeah.
So it's been such an important thing for me. And just seeing other parents get sleep is just, I mean, just to help those women, those parents is and those families, it's just been so beautiful. And we just hope to be able to help more, right? Like just to be able to like, and again, like you said, you take what works for you and you leave the rest. So maybe you want to not have any type of routine at all, and that's fine. But maybe you do want a bit of a routine, and then you take what you like and leave the rest. And
Mm.
then maybe you don't want any of it and you just want to focus on all the cheat sheets we have on getting over all of the challenges that you face as a
Mhm.
new parent, because we have those as well. Because Dr. Pam is a naturopathic physician who is able to prescribe medications. So there's all the traditional medicinals and Tylenols and all those things for teething, but then there's also all the homeopathics and natural remedies. And why would you not take the best of all worlds and use
Mhm.
what works for you, right?
Yeah.
So all that's just there. And again, it's all about for me synthesizing the information and then saying, hey, it's all the work's being done for you. You just have to take it and then you take what works for you and leave the rest. It just to me it's
Oh,
logical, it makes sense. Why not? You
it's
know?
brilliant. It's brilliant. I wish so much you would have been in my life because, oh my God, my oldest, I nursed her for 9 months. I probably should nurse her for about 9 minutes, and I think she was starving for 9 months of her life because I just was so hard-headed. I was like, "This is my job. I quit my job. I am going to make this child breastfeed if it kills me," which it almost killed both of us. And the sleeping too. I mean, she didn't sleep till 6 months, and it was just brutal, and there's so much information out there. And yes, you have your friends, but some friends are crazy and they're like, really very structured, and you don't wanna be like that. But then there are some who are so loosey-goosey and they're sleeping with their babies. That didn't feel right to me either. So I would have loved to have had a program, and you could just pop it in your earbuds and listen to it, in the middle of the night when you're nursing or whatever. I mean, I just think it's brilliant. And we will, of course, put all the links to everything in the show notes so everybody will be able to get to it. But I think this is just wonderful. And you can really feel how passionate y'all are about it. So I love that. It's so good. So good. So proud of you.
Well, thanks. And it's funny you bring up the breastfeeding thing because my first just it didn't work. It didn't work. And I was like expressing milk and it was a
Mhm.
disaster. And I could do it a little, but I ended up expressing instead of actually breastfeeding. And then my second breastfed just fine.
Oh,
And it was so clear to me that um, you just, you need to always roll with it and you have to do what works for you. And if you're honoring yourself, that is the most important thing. And that's why I think it all comes back to the self-care as the number one priority. It just really, it's everything, that self-care piece. And I know both of you are so in alignment with that. You're just like, yes,
oh,
self-care is
yeah.
everything.
And self-care, it does not have to be a bubble bath. It does not have to be a mani-pedi. It can be going outside and walking in nature for 10 minutes just to get a break. Or, just sitting up against a tree. Somebody told me to do that the other day. I did it. I know I looked nuts, but it felt really good.
I've hugged a
Just
tree. I'm like,
grounding. Oh, yeah.
yeah.
Hug a
I mean,
tree.
I'm like, yeah,
Me
I
and
love
my
being
kids
outside.
do, we hug trees.
Yeah.
It grounds you. It's wonderful. Or the other day it was raining and it was a Sunday and I love sun more than anybody in this world, but it was raining and I was like, okay, I think I'm going to go sit outside and listen to the rain. It was a Sunday morning, nothing was going on. It was beautiful. And I was like, just slowing down for just a minute helps so much. And I know y'all have all kinds of what are some other good things that you like to do that are free, that are just like easy, fill up your cup things that you tell people about?
I don't, Teresa, you can go in your morning thing. I'll tell. She's good. She's
There's
regimented.
hundreds.
And
I
I'm
know.
like not as I am sporadic and she is awesome and daily. And I'll let her go first. And then
I know you told
we'll
me,
end with
Teresa, that
the
you
crazy.
do 2 hours of self-care every day. So I just want to hear what that is because I'm
Oh,
blown away and amazed by that. I think I do too, by the way. But my kids are older, so I feel like if I had been doing this when they were younger, I would have been so much more calm. If I had just known how to meditate when I had babies, I think that would have changed so much of my life. But what are some of the things you do in your self-care? I just love hearing this kind of stuff.
yeah, I feel like it always starts in the evening for me in terms of getting my ducks in a row a little bit. I just need that peace of mind. I really,
Mhm.
really do. I'm okay with leaving the dishes out at the end of the day.
Yeah,
I
doesn't
don't
bother
need to
me.
put them away. I don't need to clean them anymore. I'm not like to that extent. Um, but I do really appreciate thinking about and talking my kids through the next day a little bit. This is what we're doing in the morning, and this is how it's going to work. If we can set out clothes, we will. Just some basics. But I like setting that up the night before because I think it alleviates any bit of anxiety that you may have. And especially
Mhm.
with kids, I think that's a big deal because they just know how the day is going to roll for them, right?
Mhm.
That's how it's going to work. It just is what it is. And so I think that for me has been a big piece. And then in the morning, I've always been someone that really enjoys a workout. And it's any kind of workout, right? Sometimes it's the gym, sometimes it's a yoga class, other times it's a walk. And I find that over the years, the walks have become so much more of a big deal for me than any other form of exercise. And
Mhm.
then I really like, sorry, that's loud outside. I really like the I really like meditating. I'm a big fan of meditation. I'm a
Mhm.
big fan of little things though too, like all the little hacks. And I know that's why we have these really short Fill Your Cup episodes because Barbara has a gazillion of short, quick to the point tips and tricks to sort of calm you down or whatever it is that you need. But I do a lot of things like that. So
Yeah.
whether it's, the Mel Robins's high five, if that's a thing with the kids, it's super fun to do, or, things like that, just little things in addition to, the basics of exercise and meditation. I taught myself how to do it. I made myself do it. I made myself into a morning person so that I could wake up at 5 a.m
Mhm.
because I knew what I wanted to accomplish in a day. And that setting your day up is everything to me.
Yeah, I don't know how I lived without getting up an hour early. I do it now, and I didn't do it when they were little, and I would just roll out when they roll up. We would all roll out of bed at the same time, or they would wake me up, and it was a disaster. And you just get off on the worst step. You're just behind the 8 ball from the beginning of the day. And I never understood why I was always so stressed and rushing and like always late for everything. And then once I kind of figured this out, of course, they were a little bit older, but still, it doesn't matter. I've still got one that I take to school every day, every morning at 6:30. So I get up at 5 so I can have my hour of meditation, journaling, whatever I want to do. And I feel so good by the time I wake him up that it's like the rest of the day is great because it has to be. Like it just has, I mean, at least it sets you up for success, like you said. So I
Yeah.
love that. Yeah.
I feel like I'm good intentions because it's like the story of my life, but I wish I was more regimented about it. But there are some days when I get up early and do a meditation or journal or do anything. It's so helpful. And it's my goal to make it more consistent. But I think my best self-care in a day is like, say in the morning, I'm looking at my phone, I'm looking at what I have to do that day or just what's on there. And my self check-in is kind of like, what brings me joy of this? Like, even if I'm volunteering at the freaking book fair, I'm like, oh my God, I'm going to see my kid. Like, I volunteered during that time. Okay, I get to see them, have fun. I'll see their friends. And then, like, right now, I was looking at today, I literally like felt the like soul spark when I was like, oh my gosh, we have this podcast today with two of my favorite people, like that. I just feel like when I get my joy sparks or whatever, that really just puts me in such a good place. And, I said music, but it really does work because my tween lover beyond lover, but like I'm such an empath. I can get affected by other people pretty quickly.
Yes.
I obviously have a lot of work to do around that, like just to protect my own space.
Zip it up. Zip it
yeah,
up.
yeah,
Someone told
exactly.
me that. Zip it up
Yeah.
like you're in a jacket and just go zip all the way around your head. I've done it in front of my kids
Okay,
before. I'll
I
be
like
like,
it.
"Shroop."
Yeah, I like that.
And then I'll say I'm not available for this right now.
Yeah. Okay.
Not available.
See? Boom.
Done.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then I like put on music and I instantly was like, oh, I'm back. I'm back.
Yeah.
So, and then
Perfect.
we've had so many awesome people. I mean, everybody has some sort of tip that either you've tried or you forgot about or you haven't tried. And it's like trying on these different things and one will just hit where you like really feel like it hits like, oh, that like the walk. I love getting out in nature. That really makes me sink in and be like, like that is my deep breath. Like that is
Yeah.
so good. But I really do think I can find little those soul fillers and other activities during the day. And I always try and if the day is ending and I haven't found, I'm like, okay, I got to do this. Okay.
Yeah.
Even if it's a quick song or, whatever it is, it just will be like the little pump up. I
Or
should start
bubble
every day
bath.
with a theme song. Yeah.
Yeah. I love it.
I love about both of you that you both are so similar in terms of you are always both so joyful. You are both so filled with joy. And I find that even if you're like, oh, I'm having a bit of an off day, I'm like, you can't even tell, first of all. But for you, okay, if that's an off day, great. Congratulations, because like it is incredible. But then both of you are just in a second, like it's in the blink of an eye, you're just like, no, I'm back. Like you're just like, I'm gonna find this piece of joy in this moment right now. And there's gonna be something.
Yeah.
And it could be the smallest thing, but you both are just like in an instant right back at it. And it's so amazing to be around. I love it.
And I've heard a lot. Thank you so much. I do receive that. I'm working on receiving. Thank you.
Yes.
But I will say, I think I've always had an optimistic personality and point of view, but I do think it takes a little work. I think it's so easy to have one thing go wrong and spiral and just be like, oh, well, my whole day's over because, that guy cut me off in traffic. So now I'm going to be pissed off for 3 hours. Or you can be like, okay, I think it's time to put on Cuff It by Beyonce and like rock it out for the rest of this drive. And then I'll be good. And then by the time I get to my destination, I have, changed my whole attitude. So thank you though for saying that. That's very sweet. But I do think it's something we can all do. You can just, one of my podcasts I think I did was about a joy list. Making a list on your phone of things that bring you joy. And it can be anything. And it's very personalized to you. So mine are Beyonce and Lizzo, obviously. I mean, dancing in my kitchen or going out in nature or lighting a really yummy candle or going and taking a bubble bath and whatever. And anytime, and it's when you least want to do it, anytime you're feeling stressed or anxiety or like, oh, this day is not going well, you whip out your joy list and you're like, I'm going to pick one thing and I'm going to just try it. And that's when you don't want to do it. But it
Yeah, I
always
love
helps.
that.
It
That's a
always
really good
helps.
idea.
So anyway, that's just my little.
Yeah, no, and it's hard too, because I think sometimes it's like people have been like, oh, you're always happy. And it's like, no, that's not. I like people. So that comes out. And
Yeah.
especially, I mean, how can I not be in joy with you two? I mean, that's just impossible. But but I think, like Amy said, it is work, and it's like I know the feeling, and I know when I've been in situations and I'm like, ooh, if you are getting that anxiety or something, it's
Uh-huh.
like Amy said, having those tricks of learning what pulls you out of it, which we all need to do. And I need to do much more in parenting. It's like, that is my kryptonite, we would say. If I was Superman, that would be the thing that just like, oh my God, she's melting.
Uh-huh.
Because it's
Uh-huh.
like, oh, who's that Barb that was so happy and awesome
Yeah.
a minute ago? I mean, I have to remind my kids how cool I am.
Yeah.
Everybody else gets to see it's a really fun,
It's so
joyful
true.
person, and they like me,
I
and
know.
but with you guys, I don't get to be that all the way, but it is so true. And I think the joy list is awesome. I love that. I love that. And then one other thing I try and do is just, because I've heard it and it helps, is just picking what to be grateful. Like, I'm like, okay, I'm grateful for this. I'm grateful. And at moments, it's the smallest thing. I'm like,
Yeah.
clutching my mug, like it might break, but I'm
Yeah.
like, I'm so grateful I have this cup of coffee right now,
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
and then it just pulls you out of, just starts, and then and you build and build and build. But believe
Yeah.
me, there's darkness in here too.
Oh, everybody has darkness. And one thing I've heard is you cannot be grateful and anxious at the same time. It's impossible.
Yeah.
It's a scientific fact. And I'm reading this book right now that my friend gave me about Oprah. It's like What I Know for Sure, or whatever she says. I can't remember the exact quote. I botched it, I'm sure. But she wrote a little thing about how when she, back in 96, would always write a gratitude list every day, 5 things that she's grateful for. And they could be, oh, look, the trees are changing. It's fall. It's so beautiful. Or I licked an ice cream cone and it was delicious. It can be anything, but it teaches you for the next 24 hours to look for 5 more things. And then she said she got so rich and powerful and doing all these things, but she was not as happy. And she couldn't figure out why. And then she realized she had stopped doing her gratitude list. So she started doing it again. And immediately, like within a few days, she said she felt all those warm, yummy feelings again. And I mean, if Oprah feels that way, imagine
It must be the
normal
truth.
humans. I know, exactly. So
Yeah. But if
I
you
love
think about it too, when you have appreciation for something, and if you just observe that you're like, no, I'm going to switch into appreciation mode because I am spiraling the wrong way today.
Yep.
If you just think about one thing and you think about it for even just a few seconds, and then another thought similar to that is going to come to you.
Yes.
It's typically not the other way where you're spiraling back again. You typically find that it's like, oh, and then I appreciate this, and I'm appreciative of that. And wow, like so many things, right? I mean, gratitude, appreciation, pretty much the same, but I totally agree.
I love that. I love
And
that.
I think, oh, sorry.
No,
I think we also, as humans, we focus on the big things, like innately, like if it's a goal, or when I have that, I'll be happy, or, oh, I just need to get through this. But like you guys said, like Amy, when you focus on the little things of like the moment or what's right in front of you, it just helps you, because I don't want to end those days where it's like it went by and you weren't, it's just like not full in any way. So it's really those little things, and especially in kids too. Like I'm really trying to focus on like anything, good or bad. Yeah, but enjoying the process of being like, oh wait, this is a stage. We'll get through it, but like it flies by. That saying of like the days are long, but the years are short. I'm like feeling it more than ever. But yeah, just really focusing on what's in front of you, because I think so easily we can just hop ahead to what the bigger goal is or the bigger carrot, but like
Yeah.
appreciating the journey, I guess, is the, and gratitude and appreciation and the joy all trickles into that.
I love it. I mean, I could talk to y'all all day, but I know we have to stop. So, okay, let's just really quickly talk about where everyone can find you. So, because I want everybody to know that. So, y'all tell us that, please. Anyone?
I'll say it. I was waiting for Teresa. I was like pointing at her, but my finger was like below the Zoom thing. But you can find us on anywhere you listen to podcasts at Thriving Family Podcast. And soon, Bumps to Littles will be releasing episodes.
Baby bumps to little.
Baby Bumps to Littles. Sorry. See,
I love it.
that's why I was pointing to you, Teresa. And on Instagram, the same, like at Thriving Family Podcast, where we post a lot of funny things. It's very entertaining. And at Baby Bumps to Littles on Instagram as well. And we keep them bite-sizable episode lengths, and some are short, but try and keep them really fun and keep you guessing.
Oh, I love it. It's so fun. And I'll also drop the links to all your new stuff that you have coming up. If you have that program ready by the time I just think that's just brilliant. And so many of my listeners are going to want to go do that, because everybody wants to feel better and feel less alone. And we're all in this together. So
yeah. And thank you, Amy. I love what you do for your audience, and you are just magic yourself. So I'm just honored to be here with you. You're awesome.
Right back at you. Oh my gosh. All right. Well, go have a beautiful day. And thank you so much. And we'll have to do this again really soon. Maybe on your podcast next time.
Yes, absolutely.
Sounds good. Okay. Bye.
Bye.